First of all, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for good afternoon. Thank you for making time from your busy schedules and coming on this online event. I'm gonna keep this very simple. You obviously are industry thought leaders in your respective businesses. I want to focus my questions and really pick your brains on what you're seeing happening in your respective industries. It's a virtual world, so let's keep it very informal and let's have a very honest and transparent conversation with whatever is possible to share. And then, we can also do a back and forth Q&A. Does that sound okay?
Yeah,
cool, sir.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's start with a quick introduction. Maybe we can start with Sarbani. You can start first, the ladies first, and then we can go down with the gents.
Well, I look after the information infrastructure at the Jagran Group. We have various media verticals, of course, Dainik Jagran being the flagship product of the organization, as you all know, the highest read daily in the country and catering to all across the length and width of the country. We have other print titles like the INEX, the Nai Dunya, the Midday, and we have also language papers like the Inqilab, the Urdu Inqilab, the Punjabi Jagran, the Gujarati Midday. So that's about the print. We also have a magazine called Sakhi. And other than that, we are in the radio business. Radio City is our brand for radio. And we have verticals catering to experiential marketing, which goes by the name of Jagran Solutions. Jagran Engage is our out-of-home advertising arm. And we have our digital arm, which is called MMI, which looks after the electronic and the digital sides of the Jagran Group. So we're pretty much a 360-degree media organization. And I have been around for a long time, so kind of built the information infrastructure and facilitated the systems and processes and have like a good grip over the working of the various verticals, the interactive exchange of information and communication.
Must have been a very exciting journey, all the way from the early days of online to the current situation.
Yes. Almost the onset of computerization. I came from a multinational background, and when I came here to the Jagran Group, there was nothing except some, disparate some PCXTs and PCATs. So we brought about a mini computer and then bought Oracle, and that was history. And since then, we've not looked back and how. So it was very interesting, building everything from scratch in the Hindi heartland and then spreading all across the length and width of the country, various organic and inorganic growth fueled by all the acquisitions, etc. So it was very interesting to seamlessly integrate everything and build it into one big private cloud as we have today, which meets the needs of all the various arms of the verticals.
Fantastic. And hold on to that thought, because when we do the introductions, I'll go a little deeper into some of those points you mentioned. But welcome again, Bipin. Maybe it's if you could just go ahead and quickly introduce yourself as well.
Thanks, Ashwin. And I was just thinking of when Sarbani said about Radio City. By the way, I'm ex Radio City. I was the first head of IT. I was the first head of IT for Radio City.
Okay.
Yes, it is. So I joined Radio City in 2005 when there was nothing. I'm blessed to design all the radio stations what Radio City has today, or rather majority of them, which was done till 2012. So I did everything.
That is so
I was with Radio
fulfilling.
City. Yeah, it is.
To build from scratch is the most fulfilling thing.
Yes, it was. When radio was nowhere in the country, and I was blessed to get a chance to create that infra, or we used to call it. We are into social service because we were bringing entertainment to people, and that was free of cost. any other medium where you pay and then you get entertained. So radio was free medium to entertain common people. So we used to call ourselves we are social service. We are into social service.
Non-profit
Now
organization. Non-profit organization.
So non-profit to
it
profit
was profitable. I mean,
organization.
like Radio City was the first radio station to make profits. By the way, I mean, like alongside, yeah, we were the first to reach break even. Yes,
And
now
right.
I work with yes. So now I
and,
work
and,
with
and
Cinepolis.
okay,
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
now I work. So now I work with Cinepolis, and I'm head of technology. By the way, not only IT, but I also take care of cinema technology, over and above the normal IT stuff what we have. And I'm responsible for India plus GCC business. So currently, I take care of these countries which are in India plus 4 or 5 countries of Middle East. So this is what I
Very
do.
interesting.
So from entertainment to entertainment, I would say.
Nice.
Very interesting. Welcome again. Rajiv, if you can go ahead and introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, Ashwin. So I have been with media industry for almost 7, 8 years now. Prior to this, with Bennett Coleman, then with ST, taking care of the corporate ST corporate completely, which includes the print part, of course, Hindustan Times, Hindustan, Mint, and then there are small magazines also, Kadambini, Nandan, etc., which we have read in our childhood. Uh, Beside that, the digital part of the business, which is actually a growing business for ST. Then we have three radio stations: Radio Nasha, Radio International Radio, and Fever 104.3. So and Shine. So I'm taking care of the complete IT infrastructure part of the business. Along with the strategic and the technology emergence of the organization as per the need, and of course the new acquisitions and the new companies which we are keep on adding into the system. So this is
Hmm.
the kind of role I have with ST right now. With almost 7, 8 years experience in the media. Prior to that, with the BFSI and the telecom sector experience attached to many of the business which many of the technology which we are using these days. So more or less almost 19, 20 years with this particular in my journey. I have been with a different kind of technology, different kind of organizations, and now settled with the media organization. So this is how my profile so far with a yeah.
Fantastic. Welcome to the
Thank you.
conversation.
Yeah.
Shashank, last but not the least.
Yes. Hi, I'm Shashank Vaishnav. We started our company in 2010 when I was in college first year, and the product name is WittyFeed.com. And we are fortunate enough to serve 150 million people across the globe, 60 million among them from US itself, and few of them were from India. So up to 2018, we served for US audience. Then after that, we have shifted our whole focus to India because Indian internet user base is increasing rapidly, and we wanted to solve the problem of local people to create content in local language and local dialect,
Mhm.
because many of the big players who are focusing on Bombay, Delhi itself, and they are not completely focusing on dialect-based content. So we have launched two platforms right now: Stage OTT platform and Nukkad by Stage. In Nukkad, we create or character-based fictional content where we create informative content in a very satiric and funny way. And in OTT platform, we create dialect-based web series and poetry. I'm sorry, sir. It's stammered. Yeah.
No, fantastic. I mean, you. So welcome to the event again, to the virtual event here. I think I'll quickly introduce myself first. So to give the audience a little bit of context. Ashwin Rao, country sales manager for the India and the SAARC business for Limelight. I've been in Limelight for about 2 years now, but I've been in the CDN and the IT sales industry for about 17 years. I started my career back in 2004. heavily involved in having these really good conversations with the customers we have at Limelight. I spent a lot of time in my day really talking to customers more than managing the internal operations. I feel the culture we are trying to build at Limelight in India is a lot of these strategies on products, on business. I think it's really, I want the customers we have to drive them, because they are the ones who pay the bills at the end of the day, right? So, and Shashank, you're one of those platform stepping stones of the entrepreneurship India. I mean, back in your time, we were always, wanting to finish in college, and our parents used to say, go and do engineering, go to become a doctor, become a lawyer. Not many people even said that, hey, can you do something and start your own business? Forget business. I love to play cricket. I wanted to be, start my career in cricket, and my mother and my father said, oh, hold on, think through it, right? So I'm glad you've come this long way, and with the rest as well. I mean, I see a very nice, I'm excited because I see this blend between, Sarbani talked about building the IT strategy from the early days of Jagran. You obviously had your own set of unique challenges. Bipin is talking about Cinepolis, his earlier role with Radio City, but Cinepolis is a global company. So, and you manage other regions beyond India. So that's a big difference in the genre of the audience that you cater to. And then Rajiv, you've been part of a whale, right? You've been part of Bennett Coleman. It's an ocean of multiple strategies and technology stacks. We work closely with Times, so
I know.
Very well aware of that. So I think it's going to be a very interesting conversation. So I'm responsible for the customers in India. I'm responsible for customer satisfaction, as I call it. So I go by the name of customer champion or customer officer or whatever you want to call it, right? I'm very focused on, because we are so far from the mothership. Limelight's, headquartered in Arizona. We have 123 locations of data centers across the world, 80 to 90 offices. So we are a global company, obviously a public limited global company. The India business is about 6-7 years old. It started back in the mid 2000s, so 2005, 2006. But the last 2-3 years has been very exciting for Limelight. Our acquisition has grown. We're seeing so many different things happening in India as India becomes, from a developing nation to a tier 1 country, right? We're becoming an economic force. So there's a lot of conversations which are changing with customers. People are talking about survival now. Some people are talking about aggressive growth. So I'll spend time talking about content with you. I'll talk about video, hyperlocal. You'll hear these words coming in the next few minutes from me. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So that's a long intro, but hopefully that gives you people some context.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Okay, so fantastic. So let me start by saying, I see predominantly broadcast here, and obviously barring Shashank, but for you guys, right? I mean, you have an online and an offline business. How does your strategy change when you're managing IT for your online versus your IT for your offline? Maybe we can go around and give me a quick skinny of like 30 seconds to 1 minute of how you guys handle the strategic operations for your technology offline versus online. Who wants to go first? Should I? Maybe Bipin, you've been around maybe you can start.
Sure. So I'll start with what we used to face when there was a link failure when I was in Radio City. I'm like, link failure for 30 second means the 2 crore people of Delhi would know about the link failure, which was there for 30 seconds in Delhi. So if your radio goes off air just because of simple link failure is a shame.
Yeah.
But if
Absolutely.
the same thing happens with our cinema, if one of my show has a glitch, there are only 200 people inside the
Yeah.
auditorium. And if I talk about my users at office, it is just 30 seconds and they will be okay. So there is a huge difference. I mean, like the biggest shame comes when it is radio, which is online. Little shame when it is your offline audience, which is your customer, though they are still external customer. But people will be okay if it is your inside or rather internal customer. So this is how we treat it. And I remember when I was radio city, whenever there was a drink failure or there is a server failure, like we used to play all of our content through servers. Probably RCS is still there. So RCS was layout software what we had. And if there was a single glitch, I have ran to office even though I was head of IT. So that's the difference.
Fantastic. Sarbani, maybe you can go next and give. You've been in the crux of Jagran Group, right? Help me understand how your strategies have evolved over time as you've shifted from offline to more online. I think.
आप म्यूट हैं.
You are mute, Shravani.
You're on mute.
Yeah, so it's been a huge challenge dealing with the absolutely, opposite kind of mindset and culture, and bringing in that culture, assimilating one with the other, because we are, after all, seamlessly connected and we depend on each other. It's a very symbiotic relationship because our content is still being fed by the print media journalists. So it was a challenge, really. It was very interesting. Print being, this is one, traditional media with a lot of baggage of legacy and a lot of, the mindset and the primary data center here, and everybody feeding into that data center, and digital being a new age organization with millennial workforce. The entire workforce, the demands, the requirements were different, and they needed agility was of essence. The key was agility, and it was scaling. And so, of course, that was one organization born in the cloud era, whereas print and the other organizations were heavily dependent on the homegrown ERPs and the homegrown workflows, which were working very well for the organization. So there was no need to disturb them just because the whole world was running after cloud technologies. So, dealing with one millennial organization, which is being fed from the cloud, depending on CDN, not tolerating any latency, no buffering issues, and high availability solutions. And the other being, more stressed on the ERP workflows, the back office being strong, and of course, a strong MIS for the management. Those were the key requirements. And the other had, the continuous content management systems. The focus was entirely on content management systems, content delivery systems, low latencies. So it was really, so I had to have people of different kind of, I had to have experts and build up skills that way. The skill sets mattered a lot. While new age technologies are of use, even in our other verticals, but in digital it was just that. So blending the two was really a challenge. But today, thankfully, our content systems are all integrated at the back end, yet on the front end we have different kind of devices and systems and processes of delivery mechanisms. So it's all quite balanced, and the workforce is also tailor-made, and the right kind of skill set at the right place, that is of key, especially today in these times of challenging economic times also. So that's one thing that we had to really work on, and it's all worked out well.
Great to hear. Great to hear. Rajiv, what's your take on this? For Hindustan Times, right? You obviously have an offline business which you have to manage, and as a CIO, CIOs can be inspection officers, innovation officers. The I stands for so many things. I talk to so many CIOs, right? Bipin talked about running to the office. I mean, CIOs are put in that spot, but they're also the backbone of the technology of a business. So help me understand your take on this.
Yeah, so Ashwini, if I say, so there are two kind of challenges or the two kind of infrastructure you actually create when you have a huge line of business. So one way or the one hand, I have a business like radio. I have a business like digital medium, which is across locations, which is a landmark for the youths. As Bipin said, as Sarbani said, I mean, a small glitch in the radio would be a bigger issue. I mean, even for a 2 3 second 5 second kind of, it's an issue. I have on the other side, I have offline mediums like a print part, uh, which is again a critical part. I know what I have to do. There are some time limitations for the print part. They probably operate up to 2 o'clock in the night, up to 3 o'clock in the. That's it, and then you have a break for almost 6 7 hours. Again, the morning starts around 12 o'clock. After that, with the digital medium, definitely those luxuries are not there. So the infrastructure wise, you have to be very cautious what you are proposing. You have only the assumptions. You know that these number of viewers would probably, or the listeners would probably latch on you. It could extend, it could expand immediately. If there is something which is youth touching, it will expand. So you have to have those elasticity in your system. Print, I'm
Got
still
it.
a fixed part. I know that I have 700 people operating, I have 1000 people operating. I know the infrastructure would be limited. I mean, it goes with that jargon also, where I can have, she knows, Savni knows, that I have a limited number set of people. Their needs are specific. I do not have a limitation on the digital part. I require something, particularly on the OTT side. If I talk about, I required a quick CDN services. I require a quick expanding services. If the people latches more, I want the expandability. So these kind of involvement is required while you're creating a complete infrastructure, IT side of the business.
Yeah.
It's not only about the IT side. You also need to see about the application, what kind of applications you are managing, what could be the downtime you can bear it, or what kind of DR you are into your system. So all these are part and parcel. And you rightly said, CIOs become the chief. It's not only the chief information officer; it becomes chief innovation officer, and I don't know what all. So you need to be
And many
always on the toe.
hats.
Yeah. You always have to be. You have to one side you have to maintain your leadership team, other side you have
Yeah.
to maintain your internal customers, and then you have your external customers. Any glitch, the CIO would be reprimanded. What happened? That's a fact
Also,
of life. I mean, all my yeah, Shavni.
Coming
I
coming
said the
back to you.
metrics of performance is also totally different. In
Yes,
digital, they're all about page views and users, whereas in print or in a radio, radio, of course, goes by listenership,
right,
print goes by readership.
right.
At the end of the day, you have to, balancing between all those requirements, and it's a 24/7 job, as you
Absolutely.
said.
So our job is to complete 24 by
Absolutely.
7. Ashwini, I mean, you would believe. I mean, there are times when I used to wake up to 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning, and because the print has to go. I mean, if you have seen the yesterday newspaper, we have a complete makeover of Hindustan Times. A new
Yeah.
logo has been published, and we had a
Yeah.
sleepless night yesterday because the people has to go online. Everything has to go online. The distribution has to go online. So that's how the CIO's role is in today's
Yeah.
world now. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, based on what you guys are talking about, you're talking about offline, online.
Yeah.
India as a region is probably one of the most challenging markets.
Yes.
Um, there's so many different genres of people expecting different types of content in their respective regions. The other piece and the harsh reality is our infrastructure in terms of connectivity and speed is obviously not as good as some of the international regions which we work with,
Correct.
right?
Correct. Yes.
So we have to cope with that problem, which is not in our control. And then the third thing which I hear a lot is also about personalization, right? How do you personalize your content? When I pre-COVID, I was attending a lot of events. Personalization was one of the common topics across all video conferences. right? And then, if you look at the genre of people who are sitting around you, virtually, obviously, but you will see that, on the broadcasting side, you're live stream heavy, if I'm not mistaken. And then on the OTT side, you're on demand stream heavy. So there's a live versus VOD weight, right? So where maybe Shashank, you focus on VOD, and in the VOD, there is TVOD, there is AVOD, there is SVOD. On the broadcasting side, I think the live streams have to be working well, and obviously you have a on-demand version of that content as well. But it's mission critical that your news real time is able to go to different regions and different cities. Performance and scale, as you guys correctly said, is super important, right? The question is that there is nothing called as a perfect system, right? So you will not have 100% availability at any given day, 365 days a year. You can strive towards it, but it's difficult to meet it. So talk to me about what are some of the fail safes which you are putting in place. Maybe Shashank, you can go first with respect to your business, saying that how do I make sure that I do my best to keep my content available, my online content available 100% of the time?
Yeah,
Or
so
close to
I'll
that.
share. Yeah, I'll share a few incidents with you. So when we started in 2010, I was in college itself, and we did not know that our content will go so viral immediately. So there is a guy called Akon. If you have heard of Akon, Akon is a good singer. He has like 50
Yeah,
million likes on
Akon.
his Facebook page. Suddenly, he posted a link of WittyFeed on his Facebook page, and 50,000 real-time people came on our site, and it went down. Obviously, people all commented their site is not opening, it's not working. At night 2 a.m. I had to wake up there and woke my team up, and we have implemented auto scaling on the go. Before that, I have never heard of auto scaling. We implemented ELB, elastic load balancer, put some all machines there, implemented auto scaling there, and it started again. It went up. Then after that, I learned about this all distributed infrastructure and everything about the floating IP addresses. So now what we do behind our DNS, we have all multiple IP addresses. If one of our machine is in failure zone or red zone, it will automatically shift the whole load to other zone where all machines are working all properly. And we also implement something called uh, micro caching, which enables all caching in the RAM itself, which serves really very fast. So I think there should be multiple layers of caching when you serve online users. If something fails, it will anyways will be live until unless you refresh the cache. और जब
Yep.
आप उठ जाओ, आप देख लो, उसके बाद उस मशीन को सही कर लो, and it works again. So different layers of caching makes your infrastructure reliable.
Okay. Sarbani, what's your take on, I'm going to specifically restrict this to online so that, we can talk about, because otherwise technology is an ocean. So I'll keep this to online video. So for your streams, right, for Jagran, you're obviously using a CDN and it's helping you. It's no longer a matter of choice. You need a CDN. It's your backbone of your online business. Tell me something about, Shashank talked about auto scaling. He talked about 2009, which was, I think, the pre-Amazon era, right? Amazon was not Amazon back then. 2009, 2010. Now we're in the Amazon era, as we call it. But talk to me a little bit about how the availability of what are the key principles in place to help you keep your online content available.
Well, as he said, multiple layers, high level of SLAs, fail safe, and we have DR strategies in place for business continuity, and for our cloud service providers, AWS, NetMagic, we've dealt with them. We've got about 4 layers, very high SLAs committed with them. Still, we cannot say that there haven't been crashes. Having said that, we're dealing with our country with poor connectivity, low latency. A lot of some of our content is also in the private data center. so which deals to a lot of buffering and low latencies at times. However, we keep dealing with them, and we've done pretty well nowadays. It's uh, we've overcome that latency and buffering issues, and there have been rarely, hardly any incidents of any kind of breakdown.
Got it. And coming to Bipin, just on that part, right, in terms of latency and availability, video is just not about delivering in high available and high performance conditions, right? When you talk about online streams, you're talking about a player, you're talking about transcoding. Especially in India, it's a mobile first country, right? We jumped directly into mobile, all the way from desktops. So help me understand for Cinepolis, how important is formats, encoding, player, how important does that play in your role of a good user experience in terms of online streams at a very high level?
So generally, we are not into in India. We are not into online streaming, but yes, there are some venues where we have, for example, our website or mobile application contains some of the
Trailers.
what do you call it, trailers of movies, and they are very important for us. Meaning, if a particular movie is about to come, and if I don't tell you about that through my trailers and properly and in a very effective manner, it becomes a challenge, and that's a kind of
Yep.
marketing thing what we need to do, and that is not only for us but for all these companies like us, or the ticket integrators
Yep.
like Book My Show, for example. So, that becomes a challenge. And for that, initially we were not very clear about it, that whether we need CDN or not. But let me tell you one thing. In 2017, we moved our website to Amazon Cloud, and we have CDN all
Very
across
nice.
globe. So the trailers what we upload, they are through CDN. So they are very important. And any latency, if your consumer is facing any latency, he will immediately close it and they will move to some other channel. Or I'm like, let's not talk about our website or app.
Yep.
Probably he'll go to YouTube and he will start watching that trailer. Or if he will just drop it and then he'll see, okay, this particular movie is not that
Yep.
good to be watched. So that creates a hindrance in caching that particular potential
Yep,
customer.
absolutely.
So yes, it's a problem, and yes, this is how we have
Okay,
catered.
great. Thanks for sharing that. And Rajiv, based on what Bipin said, I took a small portion of that conversation and I'm putting that into a question for you. He talked about the video. He just has some video, but not a lot. What we hear from our customers, and I think one of the industry's trends today, is that video is kind of becoming slowly the dominant content in the online era, right?
Absolutely.
You're talking about 10 years ago, the yahoo.com, 10 years or 11 years ago, it was just a static site.
Yes.
The systems changed that into a more interactive, dynamic site. Now we're talking about next generation content, which is video now, and then it will be followed by AR, VR, and all that kind of stuff, which is creeping into the e-commerce space, for example,
Yes.
right? So help me understand a little bit about Hindustan Times is very online heavy. I mean, when I say online heavy, is your strategies are very online heavy. How important is video for your business, and what kind of growth plans do you have around that?
So Ashwin,
What else are you doing different?
yeah. So if I say okay, so we have a very particular business line called ST Podcast. So
Okay.
you have a very heavy users on the podcast who are connected on the CD. The video content is actually important factor. Bringing the what Bipin has said. What happened? The moment user will start facing a glitch even on your podcast, they start searching over the YouTube. They start searching over the some other OTT platforms. They start searching on some other medium. You cannot lose your audience. This is
Yep.
what the first line of commitment we have with the business. You cannot lose your business. The moment I have a drop, I have a loss in the business. People start.
Okay.
It's like from podcast to some other medium they jump on. I mean, wherever they'll get it. I mean, it's freely available. Gone were the days when you have high bandwidth charges, high the reachability of the mobile or the reachability of the data was very limited. People have a data. Companies like Jio has given them a full access to people. I mean, even if you go to a rickshaw wala, they also know how to operate a YouTube or a podcast kind of thing. So they also, I mean, you can see. I mean, this is all we have seen while we are traveling. Also, that people on their leisure time, people are watching something on their phone. It could be any player. It could be any OTT player. But yes, the value of the CDR and the value of the data is actually a demanding, and people don't want to lose. If I lose something here on one of the platform, I'll jump to other business. I'll jump to other
Okay,
place.
okay,
This is we do not
okay.
want. Yeah. So
Very
this
interesting.
is
And
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. So this is where the focus is. ST focus is completely on that. We do not have to lose a single consumers. The viewership should not go. Um, I mean, we are very fortunate that during the COVID time, when the subscriptions or the readership has gone down on the print side, the digital part has boomed like anything. I mean, my
Yeah.
viewership in the US, my viewership in the UK, even the Europe has grown dramatically. I mean, these are three times, four times fold the what we were using it, and that's how my infrastructure is also built into the system. I mean, I don't
Okay,
have to worry about that.
okay. That's a very interesting point, Shashank. I'm going to pivot this to you a little bit. So the COVID era, right? It's
Yeah.
obviously India's in lockdown. The traffic has grown by 5x or 10x for
Yeah.
a lot of our consumers and a lot of our players. India is a very, I mean, globally, but India is also a very impatient country. We want good performance. We
Yeah.
set ourselves high standards, right?
Yeah.
Um, talk to me a little bit about what are you doing different from your business perspective, if any, to cater to the COVID situation. Help us understand what your thoughts are around that.
Yes, sir. So our major users are from small towns and small villages. So it's very important for them to serve videos on a very low bandwidth. So first thing we do this all transcoding in 25 different ho- formats. And one interesting thing we do here is that we embed three CDNs inside our player. On the real time, what CDN is working well for that piece of network, we switch it on the runtime itself. So it has shown us a very good increase in the उसका watch time अपने user का कितनी देर देख रहा है. We have seen a good spike there. पहले हमारा average watch time was like 8 minutes.
Mhm.
It has jumped to 9.5 minutes after doing this specific piece of thing. So हम 3 CDN लगा के रखे हैं हमने पीछे. जैसे ही उसकी latency बढ़ती है ऑटोमेटिकली उसको स्विच कर देते हैं. And we serve it in HLS. तो HLS में उसके पैकेट होते हैं छोटे छोटे, ऑटोमेटिक स्विच हो जाता है. It has shown us a very
Very
good
interesting.
impact. This is
Yeah,
very
that's
unique there.
yeah, and I think the industry is moving towards a multi-CDN approach as well, right? You don't want to keep all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
about that. So I think that's a very important strategy, and thanks for sharing that. I'll come back to data for a second, because the other very important piece where people kind of think through it, but they don't act as fast as performance issues is security. So, in our business, security is still an insurance policy, right? It's a good to have thing, but it's not a need to have thing, right? Unless you're hit with an attack, and then you realize it's no longer a good to have; it's a must have, right? And that's a mindset which is changing. It's creeping into the system slowly, right? So, talk to me about data integrity. I think, Rajiv, you touched on that a little bit. Sarbani, talk to me about how important is web security for your business, especially as you're growing more and more online.
Yeah. So earlier it was indeed an afterthought and would always be built in more as a part of compliance, a part of the audit, and never a part of the basic plan to begin with. When you plan your infrastructure, security was never one aspect which was considered right from the word go. And
Yep.
and it was always an afterthought, to check the vulnerabilities, do the minimum required for the audit to go through, etc. But now with more and more online, it is indeed critical, and we have a dedicated team for security. We have all the systems and processes. We in fact had to draft a policy which is being followed very strictly now, and we have the frequency of assessments. The VAPTs are done very regularly, and all of that in place. It took us a while, but for the last, even before Corona, last couple of years, we have been very, very rigid and stringent about the cyber security aspect with a dedicated team. Earlier, it was a part of the IT team, and it was like one person's, there was one dedicated person in every vertical to look after that. But now we
Yeah.
have a team as well as a thing, and we have outsourced a lot of assessment which are done periodically everywhere. We have really beefed up all our security measures. Our firewalls with all the inbuilt filters, etc., are in place. The policy is in place. So cybersecurity has assumed a lot of importance, not only in the new age digital wing, but also in the print and traditional in all our verticals. And
Sure.
yeah, cybersecurity, and even during COVID times when work from home and a lot of VPNs and VDI softwares were installed, we did a recheck on that, and we worked to see that there were no vulnerabilities, and wherever required, we had to plug them in also. So we were most, concerned about the vulnerabilities creeping up during work from home. So we took
Okay.
special
Very interesting.
set them up. Yeah.
Very interesting. And Bipin, from your perspective, I think, I don't think the argument is here if security is important. The question here is more around what's the right security strategy, right? I mean, like Sarbani said, security is something where you can just keep on adding layers every year and eats up a part of your budget year on year, right? And you still think, okay, there's something missing. There's still a gap here. Plus, the attack landscape is changing, right? It's no longer constant. So you have to evolve with the landscape. It's like a fight between good and evil. In the absolutely, absolutely. So
Forever evolving.
it's an ongoing process, right? So absolutely. So help me understand a little bit. When you look at security in the online web business, you talk about web application firewall, you talk about distributed denial of services. How important is bots? Because that's a fairly new thing compared to a WAF. And the conversations we are having with customers, bot management becomes an important piece of the strategy. Are you facing or having similar conversations internally, and is that something you're still worried about? I understand security can be a little sensitive topic, so you can design your answer, with as much information as you can share. But help me understand your take on the security landscape for Cinepolis.
Security, I think Sarbani fairly covered it, but for me, security cannot be 100% foolproof. The hackers or attackers are always, one step ahead. You just think from their standpoint, but they are thinking from your standpoint. And they are always one step ahead. So what we can do is, or what we have done is that through these VPT or auditing, or we can just reduce the attack surface.
Yep.
Or we can create deterrent. But yes, you cannot be 100% foolproof once the 0-day attack is there. And unfortunately, if it is you, then nobody is going to save you. Even if
Absolutely.
Having 100%. And in that light, what we in fact 2 years back, what we did is that we created kind of sandbox so that we can keep it open, or honey trap, you call it. People come, try to explore that, and then you get to know, okay, something is happening and what I have to do. So those kind of steps we have already taken. We are trying to create in-house security team, considering all these things. Like I myself have attended a couple of CISSP trainings, and then trying to, probably after COVID, I'll go myself to get the certification done. And so is the case with my team. We have looked at the different firewalls. We removed all of our MPLS. Now we are on to SD-WAN. We are moving on to cloud security. So this is what we are doing. But yes, having said that, we can be 100% sure. Yes. So the future is, the future is, anyways, the cloud security. You will have to have, a SaaS-based security system. Maybe SOC can be another option. What we are looking at.
Yep. One of the conversations, and thanks for sharing that insight, Bipin. Rajiv, one of the conversations, I'm belonging to a serial industry. I hear a lot that let's bundle security and CDN together, right? It cannot go independent. If we are putting our mission critical applications content and we're asking you to deliver it, you also have to ensure that you have the right bells and whistles to secure it, right? Is that more not only from a Hindustan Times perspective, but is that a mindset in the broadcasting industry in India where people are saying, hey, no longer just a CDN solution, I want a package CDN and security solution, or are you still doing it a la carte depending on the requirement?
So Ashwin, I'll jump into this way. There are days when you have a WAF on your cloud side, when you have a CDN on your cloud side, you have a CASB on the application side, you have a web DLP on the application side.
Sure.
People in the industry actually start thinking of whether we can have a bundle product, which can reduce my capex or opex based on the kind of services they have taken, and also give me a fair bandwidth. Give me a minimum way of going. So if I'm managing a CDN, I can probably have the security. Although with the ST or with the previous organizations, also I have a complete dedicated SOC team, which is 24/7 online. I have DDoS setups across my data centers. I have my I mean, you talk about the security, EDR, DLP, whatever, CASP, MDM, everything. So I have everything, but nothing is foolproof. I mean, we industry leaders, we understand nothing is foolproof. Even my SOC is monitoring 24/7. I still have attacks. I still see those attacks on my data center activities, on even in my Amazon links also. So definitely the people are start looking as a bundle product, which can minimize their efforts, which can enhance their security, and which can give a solution from probably from a single service provider, rather than going to the multiple service provider. Probably one single service provider would be a target in the future, which industry would be looking.
Okay, fantastic. Good.
Yeah.
One of the big focuses based on that with Limelight is we are focusing, we are a video CDN, right? So we focus heavily in providing sub-second latency to videos. So we are building products which are helping customers achieve real-time streaming. So and the other thing which we are doing, which will interest is, we have a security portfolio. We bundle that with our platform. And then we also have edge functions where we are helping customers achieve a lot of compute, bringing it to the edge. Because
like Lambda.
Yeah, I mean, your infrastructure bill is a big bill, right?
Yeah.
Your CDN bill is not the number one bill you're paying for. It's the infrastructure bill, right? So one of the big efforts in India for us is how do we reduce our customers' compute costs by taking a lot of that business into the edge, bundling it with security. So I completely agree, Rajiv, on your point that customers should have a one platform package. Just one line item on the invoice is what we are striving to do for our customers. And I think everyone, not only us. Now, let me change this conversation. We've been talking about security for a few minutes here. On the video side, how important is digital rights management? Because across different regions, there's a lot of copyright issues coming up, right? That's a big challenge. It's not an attack per se, but it's a challenge. So, we, from a Limelight perspective, we bundle our DRM solution with our video solutions. Okay, so we take pride in giving our customers protection around copyright. But talk to me a little bit about the DRM challenge, very, very high level. Give me a little insight into that. Maybe Sarbani, you can, if you have visibility into the DRM, you obviously handle a big portfolio, but how important is DRM for you, for your video business?
Well, there have been issues of plagiarism, copyright encroachment, all of that, privacy. So we now have an advisor and a consultant, and it is important. So we're taking care of that. We have a team, which looks after that. I don't directly deal with it, but yes, it has assumed a lot of importance, and we prefer to go with vendors who can protect us on that. So, and safeguard our IP issues. So yes, that's an important aspect which has to be kept in mind. I don't look into it directly, but yes, very
of course. And Shashank.
So we use signed cookies for that. because of the signed cookies. People cannot download the video by the URL. The first thing we do, और वो करने के बाद हुआ कि users used to record the screen. जब वीडियो देखते थे तो स्क्रीन रिकॉर्ड करने लगे. सो वी हैव implemented an SDK जो कि स्क्रीन रिकॉर्डर को बंद कर देती है, उसको डिसेबल कर देती है, स्क्रीनशॉट्स को डिसेबल कर देती है. So right now we are doing these two things.
Yeah, that's one thing which nobody can prevent now if they record, if they decide to record.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Rajiv, you're making a good point there.
Ashwini, I have a third-party tool which we are using it for the DRM part. Although there are cookies as well as on the as Shashank said, we have those issues also. I mean, not only limited to these two. There are multiple issues on the DRM part. So although we are doing it, we are not only doing on the front ending side. We are also doing on the back side of the business, where we want to check what is there in the dark web, particularly to this. So we are also checking that. So we have involved a particular agency who is doing for us under the CISO guidance.
Okay. So let me Shashank, did you just go into the dark web?
That's another good topic.
Yeah, but let's keep that for another conversation in the future. So we are almost reaching the 1 hour mark here, but I want to close this out for you people so that we can all get back to our daily jobs. So help me understand this, right? That we are in COVID, right? It's a different ball game to manage our customers' expectations in COVID. Plus, it's growing. Plus, we are growing. So there's so much of growth happening in our businesses, right? If I ask you guys, what's the future? Help me understand, maybe one by one, where do you guys want to take your online and digital business to? What are you focusing on? Is it sustenance and getting past these times? Or you think this is an opportunity for you to do the next big thing? So help me understand that a little bit. Maybe, again, ladies first, I'll start with Sarbani, and then we'll go to Bipin, Rajiv, and then we close with Shashank.
Yeah. So luckily for an organization like ours, while the advent of digital has been a kind of a blow for the print business, it's been a golden opportunity for the digital, and we need to ride the digital wave. And of course, budgets are being allocated, and of course, a lot of support is being extended. If we talk of Jagran as a group, to grow the digital business, because that's the future and there's no denying that. And but right now with the economic downturn, while the bread and butter, everybody is relying heavily on advertising revenues, and advertising spends have taken a downward turn. So there is a lot of stress on the cost management, and right now the sustenance is the key word. Definitely, I would. Yeah, I would not hesitate in admitting that we need to sustain this part. However, a lot of monetization, new ways of monetization are coming up, emerging with the advent of social media, with this digitization of content and acceleration of mobile consumption. So, internet advertising and native advertising are assuming huge roles here, and I see the future in that. And we are going all out to use modern technologies, a lot of AR, VR to come up, because that's going to be the differentiator, to come up with engaging advertisements which help us claim that premium. And we are relying, internet advertising, I think, is going to be the most promising source of revenue for us in the future. So and it is already emerging. So that's one major head, apart from videos and collaborations and tie-ups with partners in videos and videos with VRMR for more engaging content is also being encashed upon for maximization of revenue. And of course, in general, strengthening of the back office and using analytics to get to know the consumer's preferences and serving the content which is being preferred by our consumers. That is also of essence in these days, because with a short span and with so many options, the demands of the consumer today is very demanding. wants live, engaging content, and wants to be better connected with the stories. Hence, we're using a lot of AR for keeping them contented and satisfied and engaged, because we do not want to lose the base, consumer base, as any media organization would do.
Okay. Fantastic to know. And Bipin, what's your 2 cents on this? What's the next big milestone for you, or is it sustenance is the key word here?
So for us, I mean, like, as you know, cinema can only be, consumed inside the auditorium. So we cannot bring our content online, but customers can be. And for us, prior to COVID, we used to get 56% of our business through online, through mobile application or through our website. So now the target is to bring the entire business through online, which is 100% now, and also to eliminate things like physical ticket, which is the print, make it online, give the cloud-based ticket solution to all of our consumers, so that we bring the hygiene factor, and we are working on touchless and contactless solutions, QR code based food ordering system, WhatsApp based food ordering system. So we are moving 100% digital from the traditional way of doing business. And look, if I'm not sure if you are aware about the advertisement business, which helps cinema to sustain. So 10% of cinema revenue comes through advertisement, and which contributes close to 30 to 40%, if I'm not wrong, in the total EBITDA of any company. So that is very important. And for us, what we have already done is that the entire advertisement comes through online medium. We have created a platform which is cloud based, and which has different modules. I'm sure you can see your own, but it has multiple modules. One of them is content transfer and scheduling. So everything happens online. My sales representative can go and meet their customer, or even customers can directly upload their content through legitimate credentials. So this is what we have done, and yes, once we are allowed to open post-COVID, we will have 100% digital. And just to highlight, we are the first cinema to have 100% digital content. And maybe today, at least a couple of our competition still in India, they are not. So this is what advantage we have, and yes, the 100% digital is our.
Yeah, man. Hopefully, COVID's going to slide down very soon, and you guys are going to go back on the saddle. So, wishing you good luck there.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Rajiv, your take for Hindustan Times. I mean, you're already pretty mature as a digital business, similar to what Jagran is. But what are you doing next? Are you taking this? Are you playing defense or are you playing offense during this time?
Well, tough to say. I actually go with what Sarbani said. Although we have grown up on the digital part of the business, it may be threefold, fivefold kind of business which has grown over the last 6 months. But sustainability is an important factor right now. I mean, with across industry, the advertisements has gone, revenue has gone down. Although it's a festive season, I mean, Sarbani understand that part, that it's a festive season, but the volumes are still not what we require to sustain. So it's all about sustainability. Definitely we are growing, but maintaining these growth within this particular COVID situation is an important factor for us. And we are creating our policies, we are creating our roadmaps according to what we have. I mean, we may have a COVID today, we have something else tomorrow. So now we have to prepare that way. So this is the roadmap which ST is following right now.
Sorry, I switched from my drawing room to my bedroom because I had no other place to get this notification with my charger. So ignore the background, and I apologize, but let me quickly finish here. Shashank, did you go ahead and finish this? Because I completely missed what you said, but I guess the audience
wanted to
heard you.
I'll start.
For Rajiv and us, this entire pandemic time has opened up a new opportunity of subscription revenues with stay at home and work from home being the norm, people are willing to consume a lot of media. So subscription
Very good
revenues have
point.
suddenly kind of with the
So,
wallets. Can you hear me?
and I can hear you. I can hear you. You can hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's a very good point, Sarbani. And moving to Shashank,
Yeah.
we are a little past time. Shashank, you're more OTT in this group,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're not on the broadcasting sides along with Bipin, but Bipin's more on the cinema and the digitization. You're on the actual on-demand subscription, ad
Yeah. Yeah.
monetization, business. So help us understand a little bit about what's happening in your world, um, especially in the tier two and tier three regions, because that's a very important
Yes, sir.
demographics for OTT
Yeah.
providers right
Yeah.
now. So talk us through that. Really.
So in tier two and tier three city, small towns, there is a very interesting opportunity here. Subscription is one of them. Obviously, we are trying something else rather than subscription. So what we have done, there are two things. The first thing is that India में, भारत में छोटे छोटे गांव में टीवी और मूवीज 1990s के बाद आए. उसके पहले वहां पर शोज हुआ करते थे. नुक्कड़ पे
अच्छा.
स्टेज शो होता था, हास्य कवि सम्मेलन, और उस शो के अंदर जो आर्टिस्ट था उसको बंदे इनाम देते थे. जब वो शो खत्म
अच्छा.
होता था, पीपल यूज्ड टू गिव टिप देयर. मेरी साइड से 100 रुपए,
अच्छा.
हमारी साइड से 5,000 रुपए, हमारी साइड से 1,000 रुपए. सो वी हैव ट्राइड दैट. वी हैव डन
Yeah.
ए लाइव शो एंड वी हैव रिसीव्ड अ टिप ऑफ अराउंड 8,000 रुपीज पर शो. लोगों ने टिप दिया है. किसी ने 100 रुपया दिया है, किसी ने 500 दिया है, किसी ने 1,000 दिया है. दिस इज द फर्स्ट मॉडल. अनदर मॉडल वी आर ट्राइंग इज नाउ बुकिंग द लाइव शोज. लेट्स से आपके पापा को या फिर आपकी फैमिली में किसी को कुमार विश्वास पसंद है और आपके आपके भाई का बर्थडे है या मेरे पापा का बर्थडे है. अब उनको कुमार विश्वास का लाइव शो देखना है. मैं उसको यहाँ बुलाऊंगा तो ही विल चार्ज लाइक 5 लाख रुपीज. बट इफ आई
Right.
बुक 20 मिनट्स ऑफ हिज टाइम ऑनलाइन, 20 मिनट्स ऑफ हिज टाइम, 10,000 रुपए में आई गेट अ कुमार विश्वास का लाइव शो इन माई टेलीविजन. तो ये हमारा अगला मॉडल है जो हम लोकल
Fantastic.
आर्टिस्ट के साथ ट्राई करने वाले हैं.
And especially in India, in the tier two and tier three cities जो होता है, वहाँ पे I think these strategies will work well. The challenge you will face though is how do you keep up with this if it scales. अगर आपका कोई शो हिट कर गया, हो गया, या परफॉर्मेंस में इम्पैक्ट नहीं आना चाहिए, बिकॉज वहाँ पे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और भी कम है. टियर वन में तो प्रॉब्लम है. And so that's very interesting. Thanks for sharing that, Shashank. On the broadcasting side, Sarbani and Rajiv, just close out on helping us understand, is tier two and tier three, you guys are regional players, right? I mean, you pan India, but you're also regional, right? So it's a big focus for you guys to address the demographics or the heavy user demographics in your region. What do you see that growing in the current times, or do you see that kind of in the stable, you having some stability there on that? Maybe Rajiv, you can go first, or maybe Sarbani, you go first. Yeah.
No, that's okay.
Okay,
So
you can go. Yeah.
there's a lot of headroom. Sorry, there's still a lot of headroom. Of course, with improved connectivity, now it's not an issue as it was even 3-4 years back. Internet connectivity is good, and therefore our and the mobile consumption has grown enormously. Connectivity is good, and of course, there's been the entire growth trajectory of digital consumption has really got accelerated, especially during the lockdown. And new demographics, new locations are being, users are being added from there. So I see this is a fantastic period for growing our digital content and delivery and our digital services. And I see this, and with 5G becoming mainstream, whenever that happens in tier two and tier three, no looking
Yep.
back. So
Yeah.
so that will give a further impetus to all of this. But yes, a lot of headroom still.
Okay.
I don't see any stagnation.
Okay.
Correct. Ashwin, answering to the queries, I'll talk in a way that I'll take a particular example of the north where I have Hindustan as a Hindi newspaper is leader in that demographic. So over the last 6 months, particularly in this COVID period, we have seen that the digital part of the business, the impression, the subscription has increased even on the Hindustan, which is a livehindustan.com, where the people are start using over the tabs, over the phones. I mean, we have demographic bifurcations. For example, if I talk about remote locations like Motihari in Bihar, people the percentage of the digital impressions are higher as compared to what we are experiencing in other part of the region. So demographically, people are latching into it because the broadband services, the internet services, the data packs are really cheap. So people are now start adapting that part. The technology is getting adapted by even with the remote users.
Okay, great to know. So, guys, I think we are hitting 1:15. Um, I want to close this out because I think we are kind of gone through all the agenda points, and I really, really appreciate you guys staying online. I'm sure you have busy schedules, and you coming and sharing your inputs. I didn't want to make this limelight focused. I wanted to make it more about you guys. But we are heavily investing in India, so look us up online, read a little bit about us, see what we are doing. Our big focus is sub-second latency and high performance videos, security, and last but not the least, edge computing. We are investing a lot in edge computing to help our customers offset some of those infrastructure costs. Look us up. If you find anything interesting, don't hesitate to reach out to me or anyone in my team. We're a small team, but we work well with our customers, and I look forward to our interactions in the future.
Sure,
Sure.
Okay. I wish you all the best. You guys are at the crux and very troubled times these days. So good luck sustaining your business, growing your business, reopening your business. Some people I'm saying. So take care and have a great day ahead. Thanks again for joining the conference.
Thank you.
thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, everyone. It was nice meeting all
Thanks
of
a
you.
lot, and thanks
Same
everyone.
here.
It was
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
nice.
Bye.
I mean, like it was great meeting.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone. Bye bye.
Okay.